Oh, hey, good morning. I'm sorry, I was waiting for the countdown to to walk me in, and I was looking at something and a little distracted. Good morning, everybody. Okay, uh, so let me tell you what happened. I was pulling. I was trying to get the AI to generate a video for me, and it did a bad job. So I'm just gonna delete that one. We'll move on. Okay, it is Taco Tuesday. All right. So what do we talk about on Taco Tuesday? We're going to talk about getting rid of hostile foreign invaders. And wow. Okay. So there's a new plan, guys. There's a new plan. Just pay them to leave. Just pay them to leave. In fact, I got one more thing that I wanted to pull up because I had to pull up a lot on this one. Actually, the best place to find this is I could probably go to X and just find where I commented on that dumb broad. Who's that dumb broad? Jasmine Crockett. Oh, I don't see it. Okay, well, anyway, so Jasmine Crockett. I missed one of my pull-ups, guys. Sorry, I don't have it to show it to you. Jasmine Crockett tweeted out that this is just this fiscal conservatives. You're going to spend money. Here's the thing: Sergeant Major says pay them to leave is going nowhere. I'm going to disagree with you. I think we got a good move here. So Jasmine Crockett saying, "Oh, you're not really fiscal conservatives. You're just going to spend tax money." What do you think we're spending on having them here, you dumb bitch? It costs a damn fortune to keep them here, right? We'll get into that a little bit. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. We'll get into it a little more in a minute. But let's look at this. DHS unleashes possible money-saving measure for illegal aliens to self-deport. Safest option. Okay, and it says it right there in the headline, money-saving measure. It is a money-saving measure. Okay, so let me frame it for you. Like this. You've got an air conditioner that's on its last legs. It's hot, right? It's summer in Georgia, and your power bill is like $500 a month. Or you can pay the tech, say $800 to fix your air conditioner and cut that power bill down dramatically. And it's not going to take very long to go from, okay, it's going to cost me $1,500 a month, or it's cost me $1,500 over the summer at $500 a month. Or I could pay this guy $800 now and get it down to $200 a month. And at worst, it's a wash, right? So when you talk about pay them $1,000, it's costing us, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year per immigrant to keep them in it's costing us tens of thousands of dollars a year at a minimum. That's a very conservative, very generous estimate, right? To keep them around. So as long as they're in the country, especially if you're talking about illegal immigrant families where their children are going to public school, they're using, Sergeant Major says the value of staying in the USA is much greater than any amount of money. Yes. It's literally priceless. And that unassignable price, that inestimable price, that's paid for by us. I would much rather pay them $1,000 plus a plane ticket or a bus ticket to get the hell out. And that's easy math. That's easy math, right? So first on Fox. So this is from Fox News Politics. The Department of Homeland Security will front the cost of commercial flights and provide a $1,000 stipend to illegal aliens who opt out to self-deport from the United States in a move DHS says will save thousands of dollars. It'll save more than thousands of dollars, right? So, I just detailed that just staying here is incredibly valuable to them and incredibly expensive to us. But take a picture of this. Take a look at this as well. The department says this will be 70% cheaper for American taxpayers, as it currently costs DHS on average over $17,000 to arrest, detain, and deport someone. Right? So we're not even right now, we're not even talking about the cost savings getting rid of them. Just, the cost of paying them $1,000 plus a plane ticket versus the cost of having them stick around, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars, especially over the life of their presence in the country. If they're here, take the Kilmar Abrego Garcia guy. He's been in the country for some 20 years, and he's been a drain on our system for that entire time. We're talking about just the cost. Let's say we managed to round up and deport every single hostile foreign alien. Right? What's 10, 15, 20 million criminal hostile foreign invaders times $17,000? Hell yeah, I'll undersign the $1,000 a piece check to get them the hell out. Right? Some of you who have dealt with the pain and tragedy that is going through the family court system and getting a divorce, you've heard the expression, it's cheaper to keep her. That doesn't fly here. That is not the case here. That is not the case here. It is significantly cheaper to send that bitch away. Just right, like Conway Twitty used to say, I don't fall in love and get married anymore. I just go out and find some bitch I can't stand to buy her a house every 5 or 10 years. Okay, yeah, let's stroke them a check and send them on their way. I love it. And just to keep everything in perspective, this is another article from Fox News from early April. Trump admin unveils plan costing migrants massive fine for every day they don't self-deport. The Trump administration plans to begin fining illegal immigrants subject to a deportation order $998 a day if they do not leave the United States. Now, there's an obvious problem with that plan, right? I like the idea in principle. But let's be real. We're talking about people who skip their court dates. We're talking about people who came into the country illegally. You can fine them $1,000 a day, and before the end of the year, they're sitting on over $250,000 in owed fees. They're never going to pay that. It's never going to happen. It's just that money will never exist. So it was a good idea in principle to fine them for sticking around, but there's no way you're ever going to collect those fees. So let's go back to the first article. So DHS told Fox News that paying for aliens to remove themselves, even with the stipend, is anticipated to cost only around $4,500 on average. And frankly, I don't see it costing that. I don't see any reasonable way it costs that much. For one, it doesn't need to be airfare. Because you know what? I don't care where they're from. I don't care if they're Venezuelan, Nicaraguan. I don't care where they're from in Central America. Let's be clear about something here. We keep hearing all this nonsense about asylum. Oh, yeah, it's not a crime for legal asylee. Shut up, bitch. AOC, shut up. Tom Holman put you in your place on this one. Crossing the border, if you want to be an asylum seeker, you have to come to the port of entry and apply for asylum. Okay? Around 17% of all illegally present aliens have attempted some sort of asylum claim. The vast majority of the people we're talking about crossed the border illegally. At the Wheel points out the fine could be held against them when they try to enter legally later. That's actually a great point, Wheel. That's an excellent point. And it speaks to something else that I was about to get back to. So I'll switch back over to that in just a second. But that's a great point. Yes, it can be held against them when they try to enter legally. So the vast majority of them do not apply for asylum. They cross the border illegally. We've talked about the distinction. This is one of the things the left loves to do is they love to conflate language. And so we keep hearing things about how, well, unlawful presence in the country is a civil violation, not a criminal. Yes. If you're a Canadian who came here on a work visa and you lose your job and can't find a new job, and so your visa has been invalidated because it's a work visa, but you stay in the country anyway, that is indeed a civil violation, not a criminal one. And by the way, the penalty for that is also deportation. But that's for somebody who has overstayed a visa, who entered the country legally, and then their legal status changed. And that legal status can change in several different ways. That visa is temporary and it expires, or that visa is conditional on your status as a student or on your employment status, and you lose that status, thereby losing the eligibility for the visa. It expires. Okay. Or frankly, the Secretary of State just says, hey, no. Yes, our government can simply choose to say, we no longer accept your visa. We don't want you here anymore. Go away. And if you stay after that, you're also in violation. But that, again, that's a civil violation. And they attempt to conflate that, like people like AOC saying that an asylee has not committed any crime. False. Because she's attempting to conflate visa overstays, asylum seekers, and hostile foreign invaders as if they're the same category of crime. They are not. That's why trying to argue that every homicide is a murder. It is not. Sergeant Major asks, what happens to a U.S. citizen who enters Mexico illegally? You remember that Marine that spent, what was it, 9 months, a year, handcuffed to a cot in a Mexican prison? Dad, that's what happens to an American who enters Mexico illegally. And that's one of the tamer places in the world outside of the U.S. How they deal with illegal immigrants, hostile foreign invaders. So back to at the wheel. No, I missed it. At the wheel, that one. The fine could be held against them when they try to enter legally. So yes, we talked about this about 2 weeks ago. Gloria Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, has introduced a new policy in Mexico. She introduced it back in I think January in preparation for the ascension of the God Emperor Donald J. Trump. The Mexico te abraza policy. And so it's the Mexico embraces you policy. And it says essentially that if you are deported back to Mexico by the United States, that the Mexican government will offer you housing assistance, food assistance, and a stipend for a period to get you reestablished. And in that episode several weeks ago, we were talking about a phenomenon that is occurring in America today, where illegal immigrants are actually approaching federal agents in some cases and asking to be deported, right? So the CBP app has been updated. The app that was used for illegal immigrants to use the smartphones that the NGOs bought them with USAID provided American taxpayer dollars so that they could basically get their updates about when their court dates and all that are, so that they would know that they were intentionally abusing the process and evading the court process and not doing what they're supposed to do. Well, that app has been updated so they can report when they have self-deported, but that presents a problem for them when confronted with the eligibility for the Mexico Te Abraza policy, where since they self-deported, they just came back. They weren't officially deported by the United States. They can report to the U.S., hey, I left, so you can end all my court proceedings, but they didn't get deported. So that shuts down their eligibility. This may present a hiccup in the plan to pay them to self-deport, unless, of course, what happens is you say, hey, if you come in, report for deportation, we will process you out, hand you a Visa debit card, whatever, one of those Visa gift cards that you can spend everywhere type of thing with $1,000 on it, and put you on a plane and get you out the country. So, maybe if there's a process added there to help with that, then then they can still apply for the Mexico embraces you policy benefits. If not, we may not see as much. We may not see as many who are willing to just accept the offer. That said, there are problems. Like I covered yesterday, one of the biggest problems we have, and this is the problem that the left is trying to abuse, is that there are so many hostile foreign invaders that it's very difficult to process all of them. I have this article from NPR that talks about what it takes to deport someone. How does deportation work and how much does it cost? We break it down. So they start off with President Trump kicked off the second term vowing to deport a record number of people from the U.S., but deportation, they said, oh, wow, that is hard to read. I'm sorry, guys. Y'all bear with me just a second. Let me fix that highlighter, because that is not easy to read. That's much better. Okay. Let's try that again. Oh no, did I lose my highlighter? Damn it. Okay. So anyway, this bit here, crap. I went through this article and highlighted everything earlier, so it would be easy to work with, but that's much easier to read anyway. At least it'll work the next time, right? A cumbersome process generally involving an arrest, detention, a removal order from a judge, and finally, a flight out of the U.S. If I had my way, what we would do is we would say, hey, you have 48 hours to leave the United States. And I don't mean to the individual. Make a blanket announcement. If you are president of the United States illegally, if you cross the border illegally, you have 48 hours to go. Or you will be processed. And I'd be great with, let's just pick a nice fat chunk of desert, put a fence around it, and just put them there. You can either leave the country, or you'll report to Death Valley for holding until such a time as we can find the time to process you. And I'm not offering any services. Just big fence, desert. There you go. Or, we annex Canada and put them all in the tundra. Anyway, they talk about what the process is here. And that's part of what's going on, is the left is doing all of this blocking and legislating from the bench to try and extend the process. Because the whole point to what they're doing is to keep the criminals in the country until after 2030. if they can keep all these hostile foreign invaders in the country until after 2030, then they can add another 3, 4, 5 electoral college votes to each of the sanctuary states and take perpetual command of all branches of government. And please believe, if we lose the midterm, Donald Trump will be impeached. If we lose in the next general, and we end up with a Democrat president and a Democrat-controlled House and Senate, the next thing they will do is they will pack the court. They will pack the court with so many leftist justices that we won't even have the option to pack the court back in the future, because you'll have, 35 blue-haired screaming sociopaths that are more than happy to vote unanimously or to find unanimously, to concur unanimously, 35-0, that no, the Constitution does not allow you to expand the Supreme Court. And we'll all be sitting here saying, well, but they did. Well, you can't do it again. But if America sticks around that long, because remember, next year, 250 years, and the average lifespan of an empire is 230 to 200, is somewhere between 230 and 270. Next year is a big damn year. Emerson says hi. Hey, good morning, little buddy. Hey, little buddy. Sergeant Major says there may be more illegals than Canadians. That is not an unfair concern. Anarchy says it's time to ban the entire Democrat party. That man. And Sergeant Major, who will pick my vegetables? Well, I don't know about y'all, but my kids are going to pick my vegetables. Our potato plants are looking freaking great. I've got 3-foot-tall potato plants. So yeah. So we're working in that direction. The article says each of those pieces can be extremely difficult and complicated depending on where someone is, who they are, what types of protection claims they might have, what types of resources the U.S. government has. This one right here, what types of protection claims they might have. Remember, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, right? Do y'all understand what happened there? Are y'all tracking what went on there? So there's this group of Haitian immigrants, hostile foreign invaders. They were illegal immigrants. And we kept hearing over and over again, these are legally present, these are lawfully present people, these are legal immigrants. They're not. They were not legal immigrants. They were all illegal immigrants. These are people who crossed the border illegally. And then the Biden administration came in and issued a temporary protected status. Well, they have legal status. Yeah, if you're going to come in and give it to them, sure, fair enough. The president can just do whatever the hell he wants, right? He can just decide that a person is no longer a hostile foreign invader. Okay, that sounds. Is it reasonable to argue that an unreasonable man, President Biden, can take unreasonable actions? Notice I didn't say unlawful. I didn't even make the argument that it was unlawful in this case. I made the argument that it was unreasonable. But does he have the authority to take that unreasonable step? Let's say yes. Right? 14th Amendment says equal protection under the law. Sounds to me like between the Aliens and Enemies Act, the 14th Amendment designation requiring sovereign jurisdiction, right? Born to U.S. parents on U.S. soil and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Sounds like Donald Trump has carte blanche legally to, I don't know, for example, dump all these criminals into Alcatraz. All right, we just broke a number on Rumble, or no, I'm sorry. Let me back up. I'm gonna take a bit here. We just hit a number. Oh, I can do one of these campaigns real quick. So I'm nope, I don't want to do that campaign. I was going to do an ad read, but I don't like the ones that are available right now. But I see a bunch of people watching, and I see a bunch of you are still watching over on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. And let's see how many are watching over on Twitter, on X. Okay, yeah. So you guys are watching over on X, on YouTube, everywhere that isn't Rumble. Do yourselves a favor. Get over to Rumble. Watch the show live on Rumble. Right? And I want you to do this for me. Over on Rumble. There I am. Do this for me. Pop over here, hit the like button, leave a comment. Hurry up and leave a comment. Right? You can click here to support us at buymeacoffee.com. But what I really want you to do is click this button right here, register, get on Rumble. You can get on Rumble, get a free account, register your free account, and then leave a comment in the chat. Because when you do that, if you've left a comment in the chat, it means that I can do things like this. Wait for it. What? It says that I gifted it to the Brushfire Mind. Okay, come on. Update. We're waiting for the update there so we can see who just won. Somebody just won a free membership, and that includes a 1 month subscription to premium. So yeah, get yourselves over to Rumble. I've got another marker in mind. If we hit a certain number of viewers on Rumble, I'll give away another free subscription in a little bit. But I'm looking for Bear! Unverified Bear got the free membership. Hell yes! You know what that means, Bear? That means that you have to stay up. Wait, no. You're overseas. You have to get up extra early. You get to watch the subscribers only content, Bear. You get to go back and watch our treatise on the French Revolution, on Chinese history, on MK Ultra. That's all good stuff. You've got a month to go and check all that out. So hell yeah. Good for you, Bear. Congratulations. It couldn't happen to a nicer Obavate. Appreciate you. So, all right. So the cost of $1,000 plus a plane ticket to get rid of each one of them. Let's pull up let me see if I got a calculator app I can whip up real quick. I do. Button. Okay, there's a button. So let's see. We've got. We'll be conservative and say 15 million. 15 million illegal aliens times $1,000. Plus, okay, so what do we say? What'd they say? An average of 4,500. Yeah, I know. Just add 3 zeros. 15 billion to give them the stipend, old man. But what about the plane ticket? Call it 15 million illegal aliens times what? $3,000 for the plane tickets, I guess. So 45 billion. Uh, 40. Let's call it that. Let's call it $45 billion total to buy plane tickets and send and give each one of them $1,000, right? Let's see. According to heritage.org, the fiscal cost of unlawful immigrants and amnesty to the U.S. taxpayer, direct benefits, Social Security, Medicare, unemployment insurance, and workers' compensation. Yes, yes, yes. Hostile foreign invaders get Social Security benefits and Medicare. And yes, 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 because you have to understand all those programs have additional programs beneath them as well. Means tested welfare benefits. There are over 80 of these programs, which at a cost of nearly $900 billion per year provide cash, food, housing, medical, and other services to roughly 100 million low-income Americans. Major programs include Medicaid, food stamps, refundable earned income tax credit, public housing, supplemental security income, and temporary assistance for needy families, public education at the cost of $12,300 per pupil per year. These services are legal, largely free or heavily subsidized for low-income parents. The cost of these government services is far larger than many people imagine. For example, the average U.S. household in 2010 received $31,000 in government benefits and services in these four categories. So how long do you think it's going to take, right, for the cost of getting rid of them? Right, Sergeant Major says $500 million. That leaves $1.5 billion for Stacey Abrams. Yeah. So these hostile foreign immigrant aliens who are not asylum, they are not legit. Yeah. It's cheaper to get rid of them. Now, let me say this about them, because you've got people like AOC that like to talk about the legal asylees. Let me be clear on this. There is no such thing as an asylum seeker in the U.S. If you got all the way to the United States of America, you are not an asylum seeker fleeing persecution. It is not possible. In order to be an asylum seeker who's fleeing persecution, you stop at the first safe harbor. So unless you're leaving Mexico, fleeing some kind of persecution or criminality, so maybe Mexicans, can come into the U.S. and claim asylum from drug cartels, from the corrupt government, from communism. But if you're anything other than a Mexican, you go to the first safe harbor. If you do not stop at the first safe harbor, it is because you are not under actual duress, fleeing from your persecutors. If you skip that first safe harbor, right? You're talking about somebody. You're talking about somebody who's just run out of a burning building, and they're on fire, and they're going to run right past the firefighters, the paramedics, the police, the first responders, the McDonald's, the Dunkin' Donuts, because they're looking for a Starbucks. You're not looking for someone to help you. You're looking for somewhere that you can get the thing you want. You're an economic migrant. You're not coming to America because the dogs are barking at your heels. You're coming to America because we have Democrats here, read communists, that will just give you free shit so that you'll hang around and get counted on the census so they can steal another election. Understand, guys, it really is. The world is that simple. If you run by the cops, the paramedics, the EMTs, all the first responders, the McDonald's, the Dunkin' Donuts, and into the Starbucks, it's because you were looking for something in particular, not because your hair was on fire. And if you come running into the Starbucks past all that line of other options and your hair is on fire, I have to assume that it's some kind of holographic special effect that you're faking it. There's no other reasonable conclusion to come to. If you come into the Starbucks with with multiple bullet wounds in your chest and order a frickin', venti chai macchiato double whip foam fluff, fuck, I don't know, I drink black coffee thing, then I have no choice but to assume that the bullet wounds are makeup and you're acting in a film. Immigrants are holograms. Confirmed. Correct, Bear. they are a hallucination. What they really are, they're here to serve as human sacrifices on the altar of ecumenical politics. So, guys, I'm gonna put a pin in it there. Got stuff to do today. Thanks for watching this morning. Guys, we love you, and we will see you tomorrow.